Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiriye Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nashtaki. So continuing with the discussion on Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 5, Prahlad Maharaj, the saintly son of Hiranyakashipu. Text number 23-24. So we were in the middle of the purport. So we'll start from the third point of nine points of devotion service. So the third point is Smaranam. After one regularly performs the process of hearing and chanting, and after the core of one's heart is cleansed, Smaranam, remembering, is recommended. As stated in Srimad Bhagavatam, O King, for great yogis who have completely renounced all material connections, for those who desire all material enjoyment, and for those who are self-satisfied by dint of transcendental knowledge, constant chanting of the holy name of the Lord is recommended. According to different relationships with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, there are varieties of Namanukirtanam, chanting of the holy name. And thus, according to different relationships and mellows, there are 5 kinds of remembering. These are as follows. Conducting research into the worship of a particular form of the Lord. So 5 kinds of remembering or smaranam. B, concentrating the mind on one subject and withdrawing the mind's activities of thinking, feeling, and willing from all other subjects. C, concentrating upon a particular form of the Lord. This is called meditation. D, concentrating one's mind continuously on the form of the Lord. This is called Dhruva Anusmriti or perfect meditation. And E, awakening a liking for concentration upon a particular form. This is called samadhi or trance. Mental concentration upon particular pastimes of the Lord in particular circumstances is also called remembrance or smaranam. Therefore, samadhi, trance can be possible in 5 different ways in terms of one's relationship. Specifically, the trance of devotees on the stage of neutrality is called mental concentration. So somehow once we get purified, of course, it doesn't mean full purification and then only we can do the smaranam. We can practice, at least when we are chanting and when the mind is going here and there, at least smaran, remember. We can remember anything like the glories of the holy name or the form of the Lord that we really like, whichever form we are attracted to, or the some dham of the Lord, lila of the Lord, and then come back to the holy name, chanting of the holy name, listening to the chanting of the holy names. So this practice we should do, and obviously the leelas of the spiritual world, once we come to that level, we'll be realizing those leelas. They will be like we will be watching a TV like that. The leelas would be played, and not just a TV. TV is still separate from us. A person who's remembering the pastimes of the Lord, or realizing, then he is part of those pastimes. That'd be an amazing place to be at. Okay, 4th process, Pad Sevanam. So Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Pada Sevanam. According to one's taste and strength, hearing, chanting, and remembrance may be followed by Pad Sevanam. One obtains the perfection of remembering when one constantly thinks of the lotus feet of the Lord. Being intensely attached to thinking of the Lord's lotus feet is called Pada Sevanam. When one is particularly adherent to the process of path sevanam, this process gradually includes other processes such as seeing the form of the Lord, touching the form of the Lord, circumambulating the form or temple of the Lord, visiting such places as Jagannath Puri, Dwarka, and Mathura to see the Lord's form, and bathing in the Ganges or Yamuna. Bathing in the Ganges and serving a pure Vaishnava are also called Tadiya Upasana. So Tadiya means thing that the Lord has been used in his service. So Prabhupada said this is also Path Sevanam. The word Tadiya means in relationship with the Lord. Service to the Vaishnava, Tulasi, Ganges, Yamuna are included in Path Sevanam. All these processes of Path Sevanam help one advance in spiritual life very quickly. So our process is very important. Process is Path Sevanam, means the service. We have to develop this service mode. Service anytime, anything related with the Lord, we should serve. In fact, when we visit places like Jagannath Puri, Dwarka, Mathura, or any place of pilgrimage or Vrindavan, the mood should be of service. Not that I'm visiting these places and that, oh, I'm so great, I'm going there or this or that. No. Lord or the Dham is allowing us to come over there. So the mood should be of service. Even going there, taking darshan of the deity, and paying obeisances, doing parikrama, taking prasadam, serving prasadam, all should be done in a mood of service. Of course, we are there to enjoy this service mode also. So we enjoy, but the mood should be of service. So this Path Sevanam, very, very important process for all of us that we have to serve. In fact, when we are chanting, we should be chanting in the mood, I'm serving the holy name, which is non-different from Krishna. When we are taking darshan of the Lord or serving the Lord, touching the form of the Lord means when we are worshipping or bathing the Lord or circumambulating, doing pradakshina, all should be in the mode of service. And anything in relationship with the Lord, service to the Vaishnavas, Tulsi, Ganges, Yamuna, are all included in Path Sevanam. And Prabhupada says all these processes of Path Sevanam help one advance in spiritual life very quickly, very, very quickly. Archanam. After Path Sevanam comes the process of Archanam, worship of the deity. If one is interested in the process of Archanam, one must positively take shelter of a bona fide spiritual master and learn the process from him. There are many books for Archana, especially Narad Pancharatra. In this age, the Pancharatra system is particularly recommended for Archana or deity worship. There are two systems of Archan, the Bhagavad system and the Pancharatriki system. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, there is no recommendation of Pancharatriki worship because in this Kali Yuga, even without deity worship, everything can be perfectly performed simply by hearing, chanting, remembering, and worship of the lotus feet of the Lord. So in Kali Yuga, anything or just by hearing, chanting, remembering Path Sevanam, one can attain the perfection. But since Archanam is one of the processes, bona fide process, so it is recommended. Rupa Goswami states that Parikshit Maharaj attained salvation simply by hearing. So for all these 9 processes, there are devotees who have attained perfection by perfecting just one process. So Parikshit Maharaj simply by hearing, and Shukdev Goswami attained salvation simply by chanting. So Shravanam, Kirtanam. Prahlad Maharaj attained salvation by remembering, Smaranam. The goddess of fortune, Lakshmi Devi, attained perfection by worshipping the Lord's lotus feet, Path Sevanam. Of course, Lakshmi Devi is always perfect, but she her mood of service to the Lord, for worshipping or serving the Lord's lotus feet is unparalleled. Prithu Maharaj attained salvation by worshipping the deity of the Lord. So we read about Prithu Maharaj in fourth canto. Akrura attained salvation by offering prayers. So this we'll study in 10th canto, when Akrurji was taking Krishna and Balaram from Vrindavan to Mathura. And there is a place called, well, now it is known as Akrur Ghat, but it was a place, there was a ghat on Yamuna. It's right on the outskirts of Vrindavan. So where they took bath in Yamuna Ji, all three of them. And Krishna Balram played some pastimes with Akrurji over there. So because Akrurji was telling them, they both went inside Yamuna to take bath, and Akrurji said, okay, come on, let's go, we're getting late. And then Akrurji went inside Yamuna to take bath, and he saw Anantashesha and Lord Vishnu lying on the Anantashesha. And he was surprised, how come Lord Vishnu is here? And he came outside, and Krishna and Balram were on the chariot. Akrurji, what are you doing? Let's go, we are getting late. You told us to let's go. And then Akrurji was surprised. And then he went again inside, and again he saw Krishna and Balram as Anantashesha and Vishnu. And then he offered his prayers. He understood. Actually, the Lord was performing this pastime for many reasons. One was that Krishna was showing, Krishna and Balram both, that we don't leave Vrindavan. We don't go out of Vrindavan. So what goes out of Vrindavan is Vasudev Krishna. And Balramji also doesn't go out, Sankarshan goes out. And secondly, they wanted to give this confidence to Akrurji, because Akrurji, of course, looking at Krishna Balram, they were so sweet, so tender. They were only 10 years and 8 months old, and looked so soft. And he knew Kansa had arranged a wrestling match between Krishna and Balram and his best of the wrestlers, Charur and Mushtika and this and that. And Akrurji was worried that why I am taking these boys to Mathura when I know these Charur, Mushtik, they're so strong, they're going to just crush these boys, little boys. But at the same time, he was sure, and on one hand, he was sure that Krishna will kill them, but still he had some doubt. So Krishna and Balram showed him, okay, we are Narayana and Sankarshan, don't worry about us. So Akrurji then offered prayers over there, wonderful prayers. So he attained salvation by prayers. Hanumanji by rendering service. So Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam. So Hanumanji is known for his Dasyam, service. Arjuna, Sakhyam, by establishing friendship with the Lord. And Bali Maharaj, Atma Nivedanam, by offering everything to the service of the Lord. All these great devotees serve the Lord according to a particular process. But every one of them attained salvation and became eligible to return home back to Godhead. This is explained in Srimad Bhagavatam. And also it is mentioned that Ambarish Maharaj, he did all 9. And he attained perfection. It is therefore recommended that initiated devotees follow the principles of Narad Pancharatra by worshipping the deity in the temple. Especially for householder devotees who are opulent in material possessions, the path of deity worship is strongly recommended. An opulent householder devotee who does not engage his hard-earned money in the service of the Lord is called a miser. One should not engage paid Brahmins to worship the deity. If one does not personally worship the deity, but engages paid servants instead, he is considered lazy and his worship of the deity is called artificial. An opulent householder can collect luxurious paraphernalia for deity worship, and consequently, for householder devotees, the worship of the deity is compulsory. So this is for all the Grihastha devotees, that we should have deities in our house and we should worship them, we should take care of them, serve them, cook for them, clean their temple, do the arti, understanding he is the Lord of the house. He is our Thakurji, Lord of the house. And in that mood, when we live, that is a proper understanding. That's why deity worship very, very important for Grihasthas. In our Krishna consciousness movement, there are brahmacharis, grihasthas, vanaprasthas, and sannyasis. But the deity worship in the temple should be performed, especially by the householders. The brahmacharis can go with the sannyasis to preach, and the vanaprasthas should prepare themselves for the next status of renounced life, sannyas. Grihastha devotees, however, are generally engaged in material activities, and therefore, if they do not take to deity worship, their falling down is positively assured. Deity worship means following the rules and regulations precisely. That will keep one steady in devotion service. Generally, householders have children, and then the wives of the householders should be engaged in caring for the children, just as women acting as teachers care for the children in a nursery school. So Prabhupada does give some instructions for the householders, especially when it comes to deity worship. So here Prabhupada says in the temple also, householders, grihasthas should be engaged in the deity worship. Because we deal with money and business and so many things, and chances are we can get distracted from a service, or we can get this kind of consciousness that I am the Lord, I am the controller of all that I have. So the deity worship helps in removing that consciousness. So very, very important process for us householders. Grihastha devotees must adopt the Archana Vidhi or deity worship according to the suitable arrangements and directions given by the spiritual master. Regarding those unable to take to deity worship in the temple, there is the following statement in the Agni Puran. Any householder devotee circumstantially unable to worship the deity must at least see the deity worship, and in this way he may achieve success also. The special purpose of deity worship is to keep oneself always pure and clean. Grihastha devotees should be actual examples of cleanliness. Of course, brahmacharis, vanaprasthas, sannyasis, because they're so detached from everything else, and they do remain clean inside out. But the grihasthas have to follow this. Deity worship should be continued along with hearing and chanting. Therefore, every mantra is preceded by the word Namaha. In all the mantras, means mantras when we do the deity worship. Deity worship is not just bathing them. It's a long process if you follow the whole system. There's so many mantras to be chanted. In all the mantras, there are specific potencies of which the Grihastha devotees must take advantage. There are many mantras preceded by the word Namaha. But if one chants the holy name of the Lord, he receives a result of chanting Namaha many times. By chanting the holy name of the Lord, one can reach the platform of love of Godhead. One might ask, then what is the necessity of being initiated? The answer is that even though the chanting of the holy name is sufficient to enable one to progress in spiritual life, to the standard of love of Godhead, one is nonetheless susceptible to contamination because of possessing a material body. Consequently, special stress is given to Archana Vidhi. One should therefore regularly take advantage of both the Bhagavad process and Pancharatriki process. So, Bhagavad process is whatever given in Srimad Bhagavatam, which is pure devotion service and which is basically chanting of the holy names. But Pancharatriki means the deity worship is also very, very important to keep our consciousness proper and thought process and to and for us to understand that the Lord is there to take care of us, and He's a Lord of the house, of the temple, of everywhere else. Deity worship has two divisions, namely pure and mixed with fruitive activities. For one who is steady, deity worship is compulsory. Observing the various types of festivals such as Sri Janmashtami, Ramnami, and Narsimha Chaturdashi is also included in the process of deity worship. In other words, it is compulsory for householder devotees to observe these festivals. Now let us discuss the offenses in deity worship. So just like we did, Prabhupada discussed the offenses in chanting of the holy names, there are offenses in deity worship also. And here deity worship also means how we should behave when we are in the temple, not just on the altar doing the deity worship, when we are in the temple only. And this is very important. Whenever we go to any temple, in fact, our house is also temple, but yes, there are some rules are laxed over there in the house, but the mentality should be when we go to the temple, what we should follow. The following are offenses, and these are all given in Nectar of Devotion. A, to enter the temple with shoes or being carried on a palanquin. So, no, should not be the mood. Mood is, I'm going to take darshan or I'm going to present myself before the Supreme Lord. Means that mood of service or as a servant should be there. B, not to observe the prescribed festivals. C, festivals are there for special functions, special arrangements, so that we understand that Narsingh Chaturdashi is there, Lord has appeared as Lord Narsimha Dev, and we should listen to the pastimes, try to do Abhishek and whatever we can. 3, to avoid offering obeisances in front of the deity. Generally, we feel, in the beginning at least, we feel shy. What is this? Why I have to lie down in front of the deities? He knows I'm here. No, this is to show respect to the deity. To offer prayers in an unclean state, not having washed one's hands after eating. So, cleanliness, very, very important. To offer obeisances with one hand. Many times we in ISKCON, we have this tendency that, okay, we have a japa bead in our hand and we are chanting, and then we go to the temple. We just offer, when we offer obeisances, so one hand is up in the air because the chanting beads cannot be touched on the ground. So chanting is, we are asking the Lord for His service, and He is giving us a service. Paying obeisances is also a service. Let's do it properly, and then we can get up and do our chanting. To circumambulate directly in front of the deity. So this is. There are some details. To circumambulate directly. If there is no parikrama mark, so generally I've seen people just turn around in front of the altar. I myself, I mean, this point has been not, I mean, understood properly by me. I don't know. Because in South India, I've seen people, devotees, when they go and there's no place, no parikrama mark, so they just fold hands and they turn, they just rotate in front of the deity. Okay, G. To spread one's legs before the deity is very, very disrespectful. To spread legs. It's just like if we are sitting in front of a very important person, we would not do that. So why in front of the deity? To sit before the deity while holding one's ankles with one's hands. Again, some basic etiquettes. To lie down before the deity. But at least if one is tired or something, you can go on the side and lie down, not right in the front. To eat before the deity. So prashadam, if one wants to eat, just get out of the temple, eat, and then come back. If you want to wash your hands and come back. To speak lies before the deity. Very, very important. The deity is watching everything that we are doing. He's not made of stone or wood or metal. He is the Lord himself. He should not be speaking lies. To address someone loudly before the deity. We forget when we are in front of the deities what we are doing actually. To talk nonsense before the deity. Of course, that depends, varies from person to person. What is the limit of nonsense? To cry before the deity. Sometimes we do cry, but this means just to show off. But many times the tears do come out when we are praying or when we if we are going through something serious, something troublesome, so some petition is going on, between the devotee and the deity, some conversation is happening. So sometimes people do cry, or sometimes if something good has happened, one goes in front of the deity, being grateful, being thankful to the deity, the tears do come out, but not as a matter of show. One should do. To argue before the deity. Basically, this is putting the value of deity down and not understanding he's a supreme Lord standing right in front of us. To chastise someone before the deity, to show someone favor before the deity, to use harsh words before the deity, to wear a woolen blanket before the deity. Means one should be as simple as possible. To blaspheme someone before the deity, to worship someone else before the deity, to use vulgar language before the deity, to pass air before the deity, to avoid very opulent worship of the deity, even though one is able to perform it, to eat something not offered to the deity, to avoid offering fresh fruits to the deity according to the season. So according to the season, we should be offering fruits and vegetables to the deities. To offer food to the deity which has already been used or from which first been given to others. In other words, food should not be distributed to anyone else until it has been offered to the deity. Of course, there is some relaxation given in the sense that sometimes in our house, Matajis have cooked something in the morning and the kids have to go to school. They are getting late, but offering hasn't been done or plate hasn't been prepared, or maybe it is being offered and they have to run. Then the Mataji just packs their lunchbox and you go, and deity is still eating. That's exceptions are always there. But this should not be a rule. Exceptions. To sit with one's back towards the deity. Very important. Mostly people don't know this. We should not sit with our back towards the deity. To offer obeisances to someone else in front of the deity. So this was a problem. Like Prabhupada wrote that and devotees read that. Now there's also an injunction that as soon as you see your spiritual master, you should pay obeisances. So then the devotees ask, Prabhupada, so when we say in front of deity means if the darshan is open, if the curtain is closed, that is a different story. So devotees ask, so what if you come in the temple hall and the curtain is open? So should we pay you obeisances or no? So Prabhupada did not answer. He said, oh, dilemma, and he left. Of course, we do pay obeisances to Prabhupada deity at the time of Guru Puja in the morning. And that time the darshan is open. But that is because of special position of Guru or Prabhupada. That's a different aspect. But it is true, to offer obeisances to someone else in front of the deity means we are not giving full respect to the deity. Not to chant proper prayers when offering obeisances to the spiritual master, to praise oneself before the deity, and to blaspheme the demigods. So we should not be blaspheming the demigods in front of the deities. We should not be blaspheming them anyway, but definitely not in front of the deities. In the worship of the deities, these 32 offenses should be avoided. So one might say, oh, okay, I'm better off just chanting in my home and forget about all this. No, going to the temple, taking darshan of the deity, serving the deity is very, very important. It helps us make progress rapidly. And then there are more offenses. Prabhupada is just going to make sure we understand everything. In other places, in the Varaha Puran, the following offenses are mentioned. To eat in the house of a rich man. So it's not that Prabhupada himself went to so many houses of so many big people, industrialists or politicians or rich people. What it means is, if we go to the house of a rich man or if we accept the invitation with the mentality that I will go there and I will get this to eat and I'll get that yummy thing to eat and this or that, and that is offensive. To enter the deity's room in the dark. So we should, whenever we enter the temple or the altar, we should always knock on the door. Means we are taking the permission to enter. To worship the deity without following the regulative principles. To enter the temple without vibrating any sound. And that is also one of the reasons there is always a bell in the temple. So when we enter, we always ring the bell. To collect food that has been seen by a dog. So that is one of the reasons we don't keep pets in the house, especially dogs. Of course, we don't keep cats either. So that just contaminates everything. To break silence while offering worship to the deity. To go to the toilet during the time of worshiping the deity. If we have to go, we just cleanse ourselves and then come back. So point is, one should not. To offer incense without offering flowers. To worship the deity with forbidden flowers. Means flowers which has no good aroma should not be offered. To begin worship without having washed one's teeth. Means in the morning. So one has to do all the cleaning rituals before one can do the deity worship. To begin worship after sex means take proper bath and then one can worship. To touch a lamp, dead body, or a woman during her menstrual period, or to put on red or bluish clothing, unwashed clothing, the clothing of others, or soiled clothing. um, so many regulations are there. One can say, okay, red or bluish clothing. What about black? What about green? What about yellow? The idea is to have very simple clothing. That's all. Unwashed clothing. Now we all wear jeans, and jeans we don't wash every day. That is why dhoti kurta is important. Means that is pretty much washed every day. Other offenses are to worship the deity after seeing a dead body. So that is there's an injunction that one should take shower or bath after seeing a dead body, and then can carry on with his duties. To pass air before the deity, to show anger before the deity, and to worship the deity just after returning from a crematorium. After eating, one should not worship the deity until one has digested the food. Why? So that he doesn't burp in front of the deity. Nor should one touch the deity or engage in any deity worship after eating safflower oil or hing. Because it just gives bad um, aroma or yeah, bad aroma from the body. These are also offenses. In other places, the following offenses are listed. So many other offenses are there. To be against the scriptural injunctions of the Vedic literature or to disrespect with one's heart the Srimad Bhagavatam while externally falsely accepting its principles. To introduce different shastras, to chew pan and betel before the deity, to keep flowers for worship on the leaf of a castor oil plant. So castor oil plant flowers are not to be offered. To worship the deity in the afternoon. And that is the time for the deity to be taking rest. To sit on the altar or to sit on the floor to worship the deity without a seat. So one should have a seat or at least an asana to sit on and then worship. To touch the deity with the left hand while bathing the deity. To worship the deity with a stale or used flower. To spit while worshipping the deity. To advertise one's glory while worshipping the deity. To apply tilak to one's forehead in a curved way, which means not in a straight way. To enter the temple without having washed one's feet. To offer the deity food cooked by an uninitiated person. To worship the deity and offer bhoga to the deity within the vision of an uninitiated person or non-Vaishnava. To offer worship to the deity without worshipping Vaikuntha deities like Ganesha. To worship the deity while perspiring. To refuse flowers offered to the deity. And to take a vow or oath in the holy name of the Lord. So many rules are there. Of course, we all are guilty of committing one or the other mistakes. But this is the mercy of the Lord. He still lets us lets us do the service. If one commits any of the above offenses, one must read at least one chapter of Bhagavad Gita. This is confirmed in the Skanda Purana, Avanti Khanda. Similarly, there is another injunction stating that one who reads the 1,000 names of Vishnu can be released from all offenses. In the same Skanda Purana, Reva Khanda, it is said that one who recites prayers to Tulsi or sows a Tulsi seed is also freed from all offenses. Similarly, one who worships the Shaligram Shila can also be relieved of offenses. In the Brahmanda Puran, it is said that one who worships Lord Vishnu, whose 4 hands bear a conch shell, disc, lotus flower, and club, can be relieved from the above offenses. In the Adi Varaha Puran, it is said that a worshipper who has committed offenses may fast for 1 day at the holy place known as Shokrava and then bathe in the Ganges. Now, I don't know where is the Shokrava. but I mean, okay, one can get relieved of all offenses by following this, but doesn't mean we commit offenses. We try to minimize those as far as possible. In the process of worshipping the deity, it is sometimes enjoined that one worship the deity within the mind. In the Padma Puran, Uttarakhanda, it is said all persons can generally worship within the mind. The Gautamiya Tantra states, for a sannyasi who has no home, worship of the deity within the mind is recommended. In the Narad Pancharatra, it is stated by Lord Narayan that worship of the deity within the mind is called Tanas Puja. One can become free from the 4 miseries by this method. So the 4 miseries is birth, death, old age, and disease. Sometimes worship from the mind can be independently executed. According to the instruction of Avirhotra Muni, one of the Nav Yogendras, as mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam. So this story will come in the 11th canto. One may worship the deity by chanting all the mantras. 8 kinds of deities are mentioned in the Shastra, and the mental deity is one of them. In this regard, following description is given in the Brahma Vaivarta Puran. So deity worship is so important that one can even worship in the mind, and Lord accepts the worship. And at the same time, one does not commit offenses, because in Kali Yuga, anything wrong done by the mind is exempted. A person is exempted because there's not much control over the mind in Kali Yuga. In the city of Pratishtanapura, long ago, there resided a Brahmin who was poverty-stricken but innocent and not dissatisfied. One day he heard a discourse in an assembly of Brahmins concerning how to worship the deity in the temple. In that meeting, he also heard that the deity may be worshipped within the mind. After this incident, the Brahman, having bathed in the Godavari river, began mentally worshipping the deity. He would wash the temple within his mind, and then in his imagination, he would bring water from all the sacred rivers in golden and silver water pots. So he was poor, but in the mind, you can do anything. You can make golden and silver pots, and they could be studded with gems, and he could go to all the rivers and bring the water in those water pots. It all depends upon one's sincerity and devotion. He collected all kinds of valuable paraphernalia for worship, and he worshipped the deity very gorgeously, beginning from bathing the deity and ending with offering arati. So in the mind, there is no limit. One can do as much as he wants. Thus he felt great happiness. And this he did daily, every day. After many years had passed in this way, one day within his mind, he cooked nice sweet rice with ghee to worship the deity. So in our mind, we can cook Chappan Bhog every day to offer the Lord, and he accepts it. This is the beauty of Lord and beauty of deity worship. Those Mayavadis who don't even believe in the form of the Lord, they cannot have this kind of relationship with the Lord. He placed a sweet rice on a golden dish, not even on a steel plate or any other plate, golden dish, and offered it to Lord Krishna. But he felt that the sweet rice was very hot, and therefore he touched it with his finger. Because sweet rice is supposed to be served cold. That's when it is tasty. He immediately felt that his finger had been burned by the hot, sweet rice, and thus he began to lament. Because the sweet rice was hot, and he put his finger in the sweet rice just to touch it to feel how hot it is. But his finger, physically, his finger got burnt. While the Brahman was in pain, Lord Vishnu and Vaikuntha began smiling. And the goddess of fortune inquired from the Lord, why was he smiling? Lord Vishnu then ordered his associates to bring the Brahman to Vaikuntha. Thus, the Brahman attained the liberation of Samipya, the facility of living near the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, even in the mind, one can perform the deity worship, and the Lord accepts it. Number 6, Vandanam. Although prayers are a part of deity worship, they may be considered separately like the other items, such as hearing and chanting, and therefore separate statements are given herewith. The Lord has unlimited transcendental qualities and opulences, and one who feels influenced by the Lord's qualities in various activities offers prayers to the Lord. In this way, he becomes successful. In this connection, the following are some of the offenses to be avoided. To offer obeisances on one hand, to offer obeisances with one's body covered to show one's back to the deity, to offer obeisances on the left side of the deity, to offer obeisances very near the deity. Then Vandanam Dasyam. There is this following statement in regard to assisting the Lord as a servant. After many, many thousands of births, when one comes to understand that he is an eternal servant of Krishna, one can deliver others from this universe. If one simply continues to think that he is an eternal servant of Krishna, even without performing any other process of devotional service, he can attain full success. So simply by this feeling, one can perform all 9 processes of devotional service. So just coming to that feeling of consciousness, I am an eternal servant of Krishna. Of course, this consciousness is not going to happen without performing other processes. But this, again, every process in itself is complete. Number 8, Sakhyam. In regard to worshipping the Lord as a friend, the Agastya Samhita states that a devotee engaged in performing devotional service by Shravanam and Kirtanam sometimes wants to see the Lord personally, and for this purpose he resides in the temple. Elsewhere there is this statement, O my Lord, Supreme Personality and Eternal Friend, although you are full of bliss and knowledge, you have become the friend of the residents of Vrindavan. How fortunate are these devotees? In this statement, the word friend is specifically used to indicate intense love. Friendship, therefore, is better than servitude. In the stage above the Dasaras, the devotee accepts the Supreme Personality of Godhead as a friend. This is not at all astonishing, for when a devotee is pure in heart, the opulence of his worship of the deity diminishes as spontaneous love for the personality of Godhead is manifested. In this regard, Sridhar Swami mentions Sridham Vipra, who expressed to himself his feelings of obligation, thinking, life after life, may I be connected with Krishna in this friendly attitude. So as a servant, one serves the deity with awe and reverence or opulence. But now when he comes beyond that as a friend, because now there is loving relationship between the Lord and the devotee. So then the worship, the mood of worship changes. One worships with love. And 9th is Atmanivedanam. The word Atmanivedanam refers to the stage at which one has no motive other than to serve the Lord, surrenders everything to the Lord, and performs his activities only to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Such a devotee is like a cow that is cared for by its master. When cared for by its master, a cow is not in anxiety over its maintenance. Such a cow is always devoted to its master, and it never acts independently, but only for the master's benefit. Some devotees therefore consider dedication of the body to the Lord to be Atma Nivedanam, and as stated in the book known as Bhakti Vivek, sometimes dedication of the soul to the Lord is called Atma Nivedanam. The best examples of Atma Nivedanam are found in Bali Maharaj and Ambarish Maharaj. Atma Nivedanam is also sometimes found in the behavior of Rukmani Devi at Dwarka. So Atma Nivedana means fully surrendering everything, body, mind, word, everything to the service of the Lord. So all these processes, Prabhupada gives nice explanation, and all these processes, 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever we can follow. So whatever we can follow, we should follow nicely, intensely, intimately, and perfection is guaranteed. So long purport by Prabhupada on these two verses, because it's very important words. And this is what Prahlad Maharaj is telling whom? Hiranyakashipu. About worshipping the deity of the Lord. And who is that Lord? Who killed Hiranyakashipu's brother, Hiranyaksha. So we can only imagine the confidence of Prahlad Maharaj when in front of same Hiranyakashipu, all the demigods were offering obeisances and giving him gifts so that he just spares their lives. And here is Prahlad Maharaj, 5-year-old boy, because of the power of strength of bhakti, he could tell the truth without any fear. So we'll stop here, and next 2 days, as I said, there won't be any class, so I'll see you all on Wednesday. And you all have wonderful Nirjala Ekadashi. Enjoy your chanting, Japathon, and let's perform this chanting. We read about chanting and so much of importance of devotion service. So let's perform as many rounds as we can and beyond. And this is only one day of the year that I ask everybody to perform, but to chant as many rounds. Just get up in the morning and start chanting till we go back to sleep at night. So we'll stop here, see anybody has any questions or comments.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare.
Prabhuji, in the 32 offenses in deity worship, Hare Krishna. Are you able to hear me?
Yes.
There's one offense that is mentioned to avoid offering fresh fruits to the deity according to the season. That means that we should not offer the seasonal fruits to the deity?
No, to avoid, that is an offense. So we should not avoid, we should offer.
Okay. Achha, we should offer. Okay. Achha, we should offer. I took that away.
Yeah.
Okay, we should offer. And now one more question, please, Prabhuji. Since tomorrow is Nirjala Ekadashi and Nirja and I may not be able to do complete Nirjala fasting.
That's okay.
Because our sugar levels are high because of steroid intakes. So we'll have to
That's okay.
do a normal.
Chanting is more important.
Yeah, that's just.
That's okay. Chanting is more important.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. Okay, brother. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Mata.
Prabhuji, tomorrow we'll have the class or we won't have the class, Prabhuji?
No, next
No
2
class.
days, because your Monday and then
Yes, Prabhuji.
my
Your
Monday,
Tuesday.
there's
Yes,
overlap.
Yes,
So
Prabhuji.
next class be on Wednesday.
Okay, Prabhuji.
So you chant on Monday, and then Tuesday, as usual, Radha Prabhu will do all the summary of the chanting, and he will give you the awards. Okay, so you all have a safe and wonderful day. Hare Krishna. Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna, Prabhuji.
Prabhuji.